Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Uh, Happy Halloween! Happy Halloween! This video is coming out on Halloween, so hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday. Obviously, hope you're all being safe and getting all the little treats and goodies that you are looking for. I really like Tootsie Rolls, personally. Hope you guys are having safe parties and all that kind of stuff, but, just do something a little bit different, just to be festive today. And also, there's just not really much to talk about. I figured I would recommend some horror films for you guys, particularly modern horror, because a lot of what people would recommend in the vein of this genre, I feel is just typical, you know? And I don't think it really puts the horror film or really puts the horror genre in perspective. So I have 4 recommendations, and they're all fairly recent, because the criteria also for modern horror, in my opinion, is it has to be at least 5 or 6 years old to meet the standard, because after that point, it just, it's a different vein altogether. So these are very recent. I would say latest is probably like 3 or 4 years old, so yeah. So let's just get into the recommendations. There are 4 of them that I'm going to talk about very briefly. So, first one that I will recommend, and it's one that I feel that a lot of people will recommend because it's just that good, but also it's an easy choice, but it's, there's a reason for it, and that is Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, which came out in 2019. I remember when I went to see The Lighthouse, and there was nobody in the theater. I think there was just a couple, like just one boy, one girl. And I remember halfway through, the girl talking to the boy and saying, like, this is just weird shit, like, saying something along those lines. And it's a very weird film, but it's the kind of weird that is just extremely captivating and investing to no end. The cinematography is just lush. I think it's just beautiful to look at. The performances are strong. I would say probably a career best for Robert Pattinson. I think he just really commands the screen, but doesn't hold a candle to Willem Dafoe, though. I think that he just is electrifying in that film. I think that he was robbed of an Oscar nomination, if I was to be frank, but I also really think that it has a story that definitely will spook you, because it's very atmospheric. It's not relying on jump scare. I mean, there are jump scares, but it's, minor. But that's not the core of it. It's not about jump scares, and it's not about this or that. It's this descent into madness, and the atmosphere is what really puts it all in perspective, and really brings out spooks and frights, and just from the imagery alone, it just there's certain responses that are given. It's a very, very, very fascinating piece, and I have yet to see The Witch, so I've heard people prefer The Witch over The Lighthouse in some regards. But in terms of an introduction to Robert Eggers, and overall just how I felt when I left it, I just felt kind of uneasy, and to me that's what I really appreciate the most with horror, is when I just feel a little off, like, because a bunch of jump scares just don't really get to me, for some people might. I'm all about atmosphere, and The Lighthouse is all about that as well. It's just visually brilliant, visually amazing, and acted with just with a level of insanity that suits the film almost entirely. So I'd recommend The Lighthouse as my first option. The second one that I would give out is Possessor, directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who of course is the son of David Cronenberg. So you obviously are getting body horror in this, and it is pretty grotesque in terms of its imagery, and I think that there's a really good performance at the center of it. Again, very visually interesting. it does take a minute for things to start. I will say that it's takes a minute for you to adjust to the whole setting and for you to become more intrigued by the elements. But once it does start to move, it is just loads of both entertainment and grotesque imagery. Because there's, if anyone who knows Cronenberg obviously knows that subtlety is not something that he works best in. He loves to use practicality or just certain kinds of imagery to present his narratives. And his son is doesn't shy away from that. It is there's some stuff in there, visually speaking, that really got under my skin. And just the overall idea of what Possessor is, just the name of the film, you can kind of piece together some ideas as to what the film is about. Like this idea of like losing yourself and, having, like again, kind of similar to Lighthouse, descending into some form of madness, but it's done in a different way. I think that it has a very interesting quality to it that just elicits certain responses and makes for a very nerving viewing. So I'd really recommend Possessor as well, just from its practicality and just some of its grotesqueness, if that's even a word. It's just worth seeing for that alone. And then we're going to talk about my third recommendation, which is His House. This is a small film that came out on Netflix, and I don't think that any film, I believe that came out 2020, so it was in the heat of the pandemic. I don't remember seeing a film that year that just scared me the most than His House, because the difference with because all the films I'm recommending, right, also have different qualities to them. The Lighthouse is very atmospheric, where Possessor is all about physicality, a lot to do with bodies, and a lot to do with like visuals. His House has a lot to do with tone. It has a lot to do with this build of suspense, and this build of like paranoia as well, and it just frightened me a lot, especially with how they plan out their jump scares, and just I like the isolated nature of it. It's taking place, of course, in one house in one particular environment. It also makes a comments on certain kinds of culture, which I felt was fitting for the narrative. But it's also very thematically front, because with the other films, Lighthouse, it is obviously ambiguous and you can interpret things in certain ways, but the main factor with the Lighthouse is the atmosphere. And Possessor, again, is also thematically sound, but is more about its visual strengths that are really keeping you engaged. With His House, it's all about the themes, it's all about the tone, and there's interesting ideas at play, and the navigation of said ideas and the structure of the overall story, I just felt just created something that was very frightening, and just kept me on edge a lot while watching it. So I'd recommend His House as well. And a very similar name for my fourth recommendation, and it came out this year, and it's actually, if I'm not mistaken, on my top 10 still. The film, or collection of films, The House, which also came out on Netflix, and it's a collection of 3 short films, 3 horror films, and the element that binds them all together is, you guessed it, this house, that through periods of time, it's because it shows this house at different points in time, like we see it very much in the past, and then we see one in the present, and then we see it very much so in the far, far future, in like a post-apocalyptic type setting. And all three of these short films, I think, are splendid. I think that they're directed with such precision, and they know exactly what they want for each film. You know, like each of them has their own distinct identity and their own ideas at play, and all three of them all have their own emotions as well. The first one was very what's the best word I can put forward? The first one was very intriguing, I guess that's the best word for it. The second one was downright terrifying. Like the ending, or disturbing, I would say is probably the best word for it, because the ending just, that I think is the thing that like sits with me the most, is that ending, because it's just so like nerving and just like woof. And then the third one is very meaningful, and all of them have their presentation of what horror is. You know, like I said, one is more meaningful, one is more just, you know, downright terrifying. One relies more on intrigue. Like they all operate on all operate in different ways. What binds them is the idea of this house, and I think that it's a really, really great collection of short films. And it shows that, you know, that there are a lot of talented people out there who operate in short film, and you know, it's very fortunate that people like Netflix will give some people chances to show their work on, you know, bigger platforms. I think HBO Max also does a similar thing as well, but yeah, The House is really, really good as well. So those are my 4 recommendations for you guys for Halloween: The Lighthouse, Possessor, His House, and The House. So those are my 4 recommendations for you guys. Horror has a lot to offer. It's just, you know, lately it's been kind of formulaic. There's always a treat here or there when you dive more deeper into the independent side of things. But horror has also, as of late, just been you know, very, like, just like superheroes, very in demand. So you know, so the chances of seeing a horror film nowadays are just even greater, and I'm all for it, because I love films that I love certain horror films, like atmospheric and all that kind of stuff. As you can tell by my recommendations, you know, I kind of enjoy films that rely more on tone and atmosphere and less exaggeration. You know, more expressive, but expressive within subtleties. You know, like that kind of stuff is what I'm more attracted to when it comes to horror. But those are my recommendations for what I think you guys should check out. But, you know, that's just my opinion. You guys let me know. What are some films that you are planning to watch on Halloween, or if there's any Halloween-type films, or anything just in the horror genre that you would recommend? Let me know. What are your favorite horror films, or is there any horror films that you saw as of late? Just let me know. Let me know anything today horror related, because it's Halloween, so let's just stay in that spirit. And then before you know it, we'll be off to Thanksgiving, and then we'll be off to Christmas. It's just holiday season moving forward for the next couple months. But today, it's all about Halloween, so let's keep it in that vein. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great holiday. Be safe out there, and hope you just have a really, really fun time with whatever you're doing. Costuming, partying, whatever it is, have fun. More importantly, just be safe. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Happy Halloween. Bye.